Welcome to Tech Wizard Cast. I'm hearing more and more people are thinking about getting an EV. But one big question keeps popping up, especially here in Canada. What about winter?
Yeah.
So today we're going to tackle that question head on and separate fact from fiction when it comes to EVs in those chilly Canadian winters. We've got some fascinating data from the Canadian Automobile Association.
Okay.
They actually drove 14 popular EVs in real-world winter conditions.
Wow.
All the way from Ottawa to Mont Tremblant until the battery died.
Oh, wow.
Talk about commitment to research.
It's an impressive study and much needed. The CAA also did a poll, and it showed that most Canadians see reduced winter range as like a deal breaker. And a lot of current EV owners have already experienced this firsthand. It's not just a myth, it's a reality we need to address.
Yeah, range anxiety is a real thing, and it's definitely amplified when you add in freezing temperatures and snowy roads. So let's break down what the CAA found out. They drove these EVs in temperatures ranging from -7 to -15 Celsius, which is a pretty typical Canadian winter. And they wanted to see just how far each model could go before needing a recharge.
Right.
And guess what? There were some real surprises.
There were. Two vehicles really stood out in terms of range retention, the Chevrolet Silverado EV and the Polestar 2. Both of these only lost 13% of their stated range in these pretty brutal conditions.
Wow.
The Silverado, with its official range of 724 kilometers, managed a very respectable 456 kilometers on a single charge.
Wow.
The Polestar 2, which boasts a range of 444 kilometers, covered 384 kilometers.
Okay, hold on. I need to do a little victory dance for those numbers. I mean, those are seriously impressive results. It seems like the advancements in battery technology and thermal management are really starting to pay off. But can you tell us a bit more about what's going on under the hood to make this happen? What's the magic behind these impressive results?
It's not magic, although sometimes it feels like it. Essentially, these EVs have sophisticated systems for managing battery temperature. Think of it like a cozy little jacket for your battery, keeping it warm enough to function optimally even when it's freezing outside. This is particularly important because cold temperatures can slow down the chemical reactions inside the battery, leading to increased internal resistance and reduced range. But with effective thermal management, those negative effects are minimized, allowing for much better performance in cold weather.
That makes so much sense. But not all EVs performed as well as the Silverado and Polestar 2.
Right.
Some models didn't fare so well when the mercury dropped.
That's right. On the other end of the spectrum, we saw some EVs struggle quite a bit. For example, the Volvo XC40 Recharge lost a whopping 39% of its range. And the Toyota BZ4X wasn't far behind with a 37% reduction. These discrepancies highlight the importance of doing your research before buying an EV, especially if you live in a colder climate.
So if someone is dreaming of an electric ride, but worried about getting stranded on a snowy day, what should they be looking for when comparing different models?
It's crucial to look beyond the advertised range and dig deeper into how each EV performs in real-world winter testing, like the one conducted by the CAA. Look for information on battery thermal management systems, as these play a key role in maintaining range in cold weather. And don't be afraid to ask dealers specific questions about winter performance. It's your hard-earned money, and you deserve to have all the information before making such a significant purchase.
Okay, so we've talked about range.
Yeah.
But what about the other big elephant in the room when it comes to EVs, especially in winter?
Yeah.
Charging time.
Right.
I mean, no one wants to be stuck shivering in their car for hours while waiting for their battery to juice up.
Right. And the CAA didn't shy away from tackling this issue head-on either. Their study also looked at how quickly each vehicle could charge on a DC fast charger. They specifically wanted to see how much range each EV could gain in a quick 15-minute session.
So did any EVs manage to pull off a super speedy charge, like those race car pit stops?
Well, the Tesla Model 3 stole the show in this round, adding an incredible 205 kilometers of range in just 15 minutes. Now that's what I call fast charging. The Silverado also impressed, adding 199 kilometers in the same time frame. So if you're planning a road trip, those two models would definitely make those charging stops less of a hassle.
Wow, 205 kilometers in 15 minutes. That's enough time to grab a coffee and a snack and be back on the road. But I'm guessing not all EVs were able to keep up with the Tesla's charging speed.
Unfortunately, no. We saw a pretty wide range of charging speeds. The Kia Niro EV, for example, only added a paltry 35 kilometers in 15 minutes. That's quite a difference. And this highlights why understanding charging infrastructure and the time it takes to get back on the road is crucial, especially if you're planning longer journeys or live in an area with limited charging options.
It's almost like choosing a phone these days. You got your fast chargers and your slow chargers. It makes you wonder if all those public charging stations out there are created equal.
That's a great point. It's not just about finding a charging station, it's about finding one that can deliver a charge at a speed that fits your lifestyle. And this is where understanding the difference between AC and DC charging becomes really important. DC fast chargers, like the ones the CAA used in their test, use direct current to deliver a much faster charge compared to the alternating current used by standard home chargers.
So basically, if you're in a hurry, you want to hunt down those DC fast chargers.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears for a minute and talk about those practical tips that can help us maximize EV range during the winter. The CAA had some good advice.
Yes. Preconditioning is probably the single most effective thing you can do.
Okay.
It's so simple. Warm up the cabin and the battery while your EV is still plugged in. Ideally before you hit the road. It's using energy from the grid instead of draining your battery, which is a smart move.
Right, you're essentially giving your battery a head start. And a lot of EVs even allow you to schedule preconditioning, so your car is nice and toasty when you're ready to go. That's a game changer for those frosty mornings.
Absolutely. It not only extends your range, but also improves comfort. No one likes getting into a freezing cold car. And speaking of comfort, did you know that using heated seats instead of blasting the cabin heater can actually save battery power?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive, but makes sense when you think about it. You're targeting the heat directly where you need it most, rather than trying to heat up the entire cabin.
Exactly. And every little bit helps. Another tip is to keep your EV out of the elements as much as possible. Parking indoors, whether it's in a garage or a covered parking spot, can make a big difference in both range and charging speed.
That's great advice if you have that option. But let's be real, not everyone has a garage. What about those of us who have to brave the elements and park on the street? Are we doomed to suffer from winter range anxiety?
Not necessarily. If indoor parking isn't feasible, try to park in a spot that gets some sun during the day. Even a little bit of passive solar heat can help keep the battery warmer. And of course, always remember to clear off any snow and ice from your car. It not only improves visibility, but also reduces weight and drag, which can actually help extend your range.
So it's all about being mindful and using these tips strategically.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that winter range reduction is a reality for all EVs to some degree, but by understanding the factors involved in implementing these simple strategies, we can minimize the impact and still enjoy the many benefits of driving electric.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, from understanding why winter range reduction happens to learning some ninja tips to combat it. This study from the CAA got me thinking, what's the future EV winter performance testing? Do you see any changes on the horizon?
That's a great question, and I think we're starting to see a shift in how we evaluate EV performance. There's a growing call for more standardized testing, specifically for winter conditions, to provide consumers with a clearer picture of what to expect in real-world driving scenarios.
That makes so much sense. I mean, right now it feels like we're relying on word of mouth and scattered reports from individual owners to figure out which EVs can handle the cold. A standardized approach would definitely level the playing field and help buyers make more informed decisions.
Absolutely. Transparency is key, and having reliable standardized data would empower consumers to choose the EV that best suits their needs and their climate. And it would also incentivize manufacturers to continue innovating and improving their vehicles' winter performance.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to the future of EVs in winter, and hopefully we'll soon have that standardized testing in place to help us navigate the world of electric vehicles with more confidence no matter what the weather throws our way. But before we wrap things up, I want to touch on one last thing: tires.
Ah, yes, tires. Often overlooked, but absolutely crucial, especially in winter.
They're the only point of contact between your car and the road. So having the right tires for winter conditions is essential, whether you're driving an EV or a gas-powered vehicle.
Exactly. But there are some specific considerations for EVs in winter. For starters, EVs tend to be heavier than their gas-powered counterparts due to the battery pack, which can impact tire wear and grip.
So we need to be extra careful about choosing tires that can handle that extra weight.
Yes, and don't forget about tire pressure. Cold weather causes tire pressure to drop, which can affect handling and range. So make sure to check your tire pressure regularly throughout the winter months. And of course, if you live in an area with significant snowfall, investing in a set of winter tires is a must. They provide superior traction and grip on snow and ice, giving you that extra peace of mind on those slippery roads.
Makes sense. So it's not just about the EV itself, but also about being smart about things like tires and maintenance to ensure optimal performance in winter conditions. This has been a fascinating deep dive. We've debunked some myths, uncovered some surprising findings, and hopefully empowered our listeners with knowledge and tips to conquer those winter driving challenges. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think the biggest takeaway is that knowledge is power. The more you understand about how EVs perform in winter, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions, whether it's choosing the right model, maximizing range, or simply staying safe on the road. And as technology continues to evolve, we can expect even more advancements in EV winter performance, making those cold weather anxieties a thing of the past.
Well said. So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the world of EVs and winter driving. Until next time, be curious.